Just give everyone a couple of seconds to join us before we get started. I'm not sure if it's showing up, but I tried to add a little poll question to this Facebook Live about goal setting and whether or not you like to write down your goals, or if you keep them in your head, or if you're not, currently someone that is big into goal setting, because that's what we're going to talk about tonight. I think it's a good time to kind of talk about this topic because we're so inundated with so much information the past couple weeks, and I think a lot of people are either being really hard on themselves because of they might be eating different foods that they don't normally eat, or they might not be exercising as much as normal because they're still sort of getting into a routine. I mean, let's face it, it's no matter who you are, where you are, our routines have pretty much sort of been kind of just thrown up into the air, and now we kind of have to piece them back together a little bit the best we can, and that's the key. Is we just have to do the best we can, and I talk about this too much, but I think it's something that, because I had to learn to do it for myself, I talk about it a lot, about just being like gentle with ourselves and realizing that, again, I mean, with everything going on, we're just doing the best we can do. And so that's kind of why I want to talk about goal setting tonight and something called SMART goals. Depending on kind of what, kind of, I don't know whether what you do for a living, or who you interact with, the different types of books you read, the different types of, if you're into psychology, if you're into kind of self-help, into motivational gurus, like whatever you're into that kind of gets you pumped up. I'm sure you've heard of SMART goals, and I'm a big fan of them, and I've seen a lot of my clients do very well by utilizing SMART goals. And hey, Janice, hey, Michelle, how's it going? And so basically, SMART goals are just a really great approach for setting goals. And I was actually gonna see if I could share my screen. Let me see. Oh, maybe I can't. Hold on one second. I made like a cute little slide that had kind of some information about SMART goals, but it's a really kind of common concept that we all kind of talk about. Yeah, for some reason I can't figure out how to share it, but that's okay. But basically, SMART goals are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and they're time bound. And I think, again, what I've seen with a lot of my clients, and even just a lot of people that I've talked to in the SlimFast community now after almost 3 years, and just in general, that writing things down can just be so like therapeutic. It's so helpful, and it's just so nice to just get it out on paper, or even to kind of put it into our phones. I'm more of a old-fashioned girl when it comes to like writing things down. I like to put everything down on paper, but if it works for you to put it in your phone, then go right ahead. But for me, I've really found that SMART goals, whether it be personal stuff, whether it be professional stuff, whether it be health, wellness, they just really help you to kind of like map out what your goals are. And let's face it, I mean, right now we're hopefully we all have a little bit of extra time, and we're kind of just, again, we're trying to kind of figure out like how to stay on our routines that aren't our normal routines. And so this is where you can kind of take, instead of kind of feeling out of control, because let's face it, I've had quite a few days the past couple weeks where I don't even, I have a dog. I don't have children to worry about right now. My family's in other states and stuff like that, so I worry about them. But I still have these days where I just feel out of control with everything going on. And I think we all do, and I think that's normal. And so again, kind of like writing out and mapping out like things that need to be done, things that I want to get done, projects that around the home that you might have put on hold because you just haven't had time. That's another great example of stuff that you can just kind of like write down that you want to get it done. And so, because this is, a SlimFast group, because I'm a registered dietitian, I'm going to focus more on health and wellness SMART goals. So we're gonna use an example of. Let me just check in and see everyone. Hey, Alyssa. Yes, I'm glad you like this topic because I think it's a good topic, and it's kind of something that we can talk about now, and it's relevant no matter what we're going through. Hopefully, all of this will pass very, very soon, and we'll be back to our normal lives, as soon as possible. But this is something that we can carry forward and use and utilize all the time. And so, again, SMART goals, specific. So if we're talking about exercise, for example, when we're setting a SMART goal for exercise, we don't just want to say, I'm going to exercise this week. My goal is to exercise this week. Because it's like, okay, so your goal is to exercise this week. And I hear this a lot, and it's okay. My goal is to eat better this week. Okay, how are you going to eat better? SMART goals are kind of like when you kind of have to when you break it down and you're like, okay, so this is kind of how it's going to get done, the time frame it's going to get done, which again, everything is a little all over the place right now. So the time frame we set might change depending on when we can resume to our normal lives. But so setting a SMART goal in terms of exercise, so specific. So I'm going to exercise. I've actually made, using myself as an example, my routine is definitely mixed up a bit. So I need to set SMART goals for exercise. So what am I going to do? My specific goal is that I'm going to do weight training. I have some free weights here at my home, some resistance bands, because I love resistance bands, a little Pilates ring, and obviously I can, you can still go outside and walk. And so what I'm doing is I'm setting a specific goal to do weights, to do resistance bands, to walk, and to do the Pilates ring. So those kind of fall into like that strength resistance training. To do that at least 3 days a week. In my head, I like to say 3 to 4 because then I like to think of 4 as like a bonus, but at least 3 days a week. And then if you can do more, that's awesome. That's great. But I'm trying to just set that goal of 3 days a week. And so basically, some people, they want to be really specific and they want to say, I'm going to do it Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Or they just like to, I think I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, that they like to just kind of write down 1, 2, 3, and then they just want to check it off. So if they get it all done Monday through Wednesday, awesome. If they only get one workout done by Thursday, then they've got the Friday, Saturday, Sunday to kind of make up for that workout. So that's where the specific comes into play. So in the SMART goal setting, specific is what are you going to do? When are you going to do it? How are you going to do it? Why are you going to do it? Why? I mean, why? And that's where see the R kind of gets into that as well, which hopefully this is making sense. Again, I had a cute visual, but I need to figure out how to do the slides at the bottom. So specific is the first part of SMART goals. M is measurable. And this, in certain applications using SMART goals, this is a little bit easier to visualize, but in terms of exercising, measurable can just be I checked off and I saw and I measured that 3 days this week I exercise. That's a way of measuring how you're doing on that goal. If you only exercised twice this week, or so if I only exercised twice this week, then that means I fell short of my goal. So that's kind of how we can make that measurable. And that's again where it's cool if you can, you can make little checklists in your smartphones. I think I showed you guys a couple weeks, probably 3 weeks ago now, that this one's all written on, but I have these giant post-it notes that you can kind of you can write your goals for the week on these, and I realize no one's gonna run out to the store and buy these, but if you have something like this laying around, even a piece of paper, just hang it on the wall and kind of write down your goals on there. And so that's where you can kind of do the measurable part. Attainable is the A in SMART, and this one is important because this is where you have to be. You have to have be driven enough to be like, I'm motivated. I want to do this, but you also have to be realistic and realize, is this goal attainable? And this is a perfect example right now of if I made a goal of mine to go to, hi Jennifer, hi Teresa, hi Tanya, hi Nicole. I work out too much, see? That's okay though. Attainable is goal attainable. And again, using exercise as an example, if I set my goal for 3 days a week right now, that's very attainable, honestly. I should probably make it more than that, which I will. But is it attainable? Yes. Is it attainable for me to say that I'm going to go to the gym 3 days a week right now? No. Because let's face it, all of the gyms are closed, and it's not a good idea to really be in a gym right now because of everything going on. And so, but in my everyday life, if I set a goal to go to the gym for 3 days a week, it wouldn't be attainable because I'm not that much of a gym person. I use my little condo gym maybe once a week or whatever, but I'm not a gym, I'm not the type of person that right now in my life, I could change, but I'm just not that type of person. So it's not attainable for me. So what is attainable for me is to go outside to walk the dog, is to do resistance bands, to do free weights, to do the little Pilates ring that I love so much. That's attainable for me. And so you want to think about, in this SMART goal setting, you want it to be an attainable goal. Obviously, Teresa, who's working out too much, an attainable goal for her might be like 5 days a week, or 6 days a week. So everyone's kind of got their different level of attainability, so to speak. And so the R in SMART goals is relevant. I think, when we're talking about relevance, like, is this goal relevant to my overall goals? And, for the most part, again, given that this is a SlimFast group and I'm a dietitian and I'm a certified fitness trainer, like, it makes sense to use this example as exercise because I think no matter what our health goal is in the long run, exercise of some sort, movement of some sort, even if you're not, able to completely move or you're not 100% able-bodied or whatever your situation is, movement of some sort is just great for your health and wellness. And so the R, the relevant in SMART goals, would apply to the fact that this is relevant. This is relevant for not only for I have anxiety, I have a lot of anxiety. It's just in general, that's how I'm heavily made up. And so not only is it good for my health and does it help me kind of like feel good about just myself and how I feel overall, it helps me with my brain, my anxiety. And so this exercise goal is very relevant to the overall goal of what I want to achieve in my life. And then time bound, which again, I guess you could say maybe it applies, it could apply now more than ever, but it certain goals might be a little strange. Like, say if you had a plan to run a marathon in a few months, in a month from now, like obviously that marathon's not going to take place, but time bound is when you take that goal and you give it a time frame. You say like, this has to be done in a week, and I'm going to do this for 4 weeks in a row. Like, I'm going to do this 4 weeks in a row. And that's an example of how you could make that kind of this ongoing exercise, a time-bound goal within your SMART goal. And so, I love, like I said, I love SMART goals, and it looks like, yep, Anthony loves SMART goals too. Teresa, I plan everything on Sunday, including meals, water, and a mini goal for the week. Yes, that's what I love to hear. Because when we're talking about goals, aside from kind of using this like SMART criteria to figure out how to set your goals, it's a great idea to have long-term and short-term goals. A short-term goal would be, to get in that exercise 3 times a week for 4 weeks. A long-term goal would be, if you're trying to lose, 30 pounds, your long-term goal would be to lose 30 pounds in however many weeks, and then all of these series of short-term goals are going to get you to that long-term goal. I'm someone who I personally can get really like overwhelmed if I just look at everything like I'm a big picture person, but sometimes if I look at everything like, oh my gosh, like to me it helps to break everything down into little pieces. And this is basically what you're doing. Instead of saying and getting overwhelmed by saying like, I'm gonna lose this much weight in this many weeks, that can be overwhelming. Or saying I'm gonna run a marathon in August, like that can be really overwhelming. Like I've never run a marathon. If I were planning to, the thought of preparing for a marathon would be so overwhelming for me. But if I were to break it down into little mini goals, like, okay, so in the next month, I'm going to make sure that I can run at least 5 miles. And then the month after that, I can run at least 6 or 7 miles. And you kind of like break this up into chunks, and you kind of break it up into little short-term goals. And then you use those short-term goals to get towards your long-term goals. And so, yes, and that's great. I love that what Teresa said. Including meals, water, and a mini goal for the week. That's awesome. And that's something like water, that's a great little mini goal to have, because you can get the satisfaction of having this specific goal every day, this SMART goal every day. You know, I want to drink half my weight in water. That's specific. You know what your weight is, you multiply it in half, that's your goal, and that's a specific goal. It's measurable because you can measure the amount of water that you're drinking. It's attainable. Because I mean, it depends. Certain people might not want to drink half their weight in water, but that's a whole other discussion for another time. I wrote a blog on water intake, and so once you figure out your appropriate water intake, it is attainable, relevant, because we all know that drinking water is great for us, our general overall health, but it also can help us on our weight loss, weight maintenance, and health journey. And then time bound. I want to drink this many ounces of water in a 24-hour period. It's a perfect SMART goal. So those are some great examples. Nicole, I make a goal to run at least 3 days a week. Perfect. 3 days a week. That's an awesome goal, because it's like, I'm going to run at least 3 days a week. If she runs 4 days a week, even better. It's like a bonus. Jennifer, I have a goal to walk every day and run 3 times a week. That's awesome, because you know, for Jennifer, that might be attainable. The walking every day. I mean, for most of us, especially right now, you know, and given everyone's got different circumstances and all that, but for most of us, it's usually pretty attainable. We could even a 10-minute walk. It doesn't need to be anything crazy or unattainable. You want to make it realistic. You want to make it motivation. You want to be motivated to do it, and you want it to require motivation to do, but you also, again, need it to be attainable. Teresa Klanaski, not going to happen. If you're talking about the marathon, then I can't see myself running one anytime soon either, but you never know. I might change tomorrow and want to just start running long distances. While waiting on the dryer to get done, and I usually exercise, awesome. So Jennifer's saying, using the little SlimFast workout that I did while she's waiting on the dryer to get done, or while homeschooling the children. And even you don't even have to do a formal walk. Even like little things like squats while you're waiting for your food to cook. Like I'll set the air fryer and I'll just do like lunges around my home while I'm waiting for my food to cook in the air fryer. There's just lots of fun different ways that you can kind of like squeeze things in. Yes, mental health. Yes. Totally helps with my anxiety to just get some exercise. Doing leg raises and squats while making supper. That's a good one. Do you have that's a good question. So there's a few apps in terms of water. There's a few apps for like when you're having a goal of water intake. So I'll do notes. I'll use my notes section, but what I love is, and I've shown some people this before, and who knows if you can still get I think you can on Amazon, if Amazon's still shipping them out or whatever, but so I have this cool little Fox planner, because I'm old school, I like to write things down, and basically what it, and you can get this again on Amazon if they're still shipping them out with everything going on. But I have really bad handwriting, so I'm trying to go to a blank page so you don't all laugh at my horrible handwriting. It's bad. Okay, so here's a blank page, and basically, I don't know if you can see, but what this has is, so it has this planner, and then this is an old sheet, and basically it's got this week's main goal, this week's priorities, notes, personal to-do list, habits and skills, this week's wins, how I'll improve next week. So I love this this little Fox planner, and then it's got like little pockets in it to put stuff, and it's just got like so many cool things for like writing down your goals and like my daily rituals, my gratitude and self-awareness. It's a cool planner. So to answer Nicole's question, I don't have an app that I love right now because I've tried some and then I kind of was just like, so I use this this clever Fox planner that I got on Amazon for like $20. But I also love there's some programs that are, I think they're more designed for like professional keeping your work organized and whatnot, but it can be helpful to kind of just put everything in there. There's a program called Asana that you can use a free version of it. I use it to kind of organize different aspects of my work, but I also can put personal goals in there as well. So I use a few different tools. I'm very much into like writing things down and getting it all out there. You got me hooked on it. Yep. I told Anthony Smith about this a while ago. I carry a mini, Michelle, I carry a mini notepad. Teresa, we're all old school. It makes me feel bad. I'm older than some of you, and I don't feel so bad anymore that you youngins are writing things down too. So I got one similar at Target for $3. Yeah. Yep. Oh, Elise, she started the gallon challenge, day 2. Going great. Definitely curbs the snacky feelings I had last week. Yes. So water absolutely can help with that snacky feeling, because for a variety of reasons, but a lot of times when we are, I love that word, snacky, when we're having that snacky feeling, just sipping on some water can just really help that. If you're physiologically, if your stomach's growling and you need food, then you might not want to try to curb that with water. But if you are just kind of feeling like you're doing, I like to call it recreational eating, where you're just sort of like, you're bored or you're anxious or you're trying to avoid, like subconsciously trying to avoid doing other things, and so you're kind of looking to snack to kind of, again, I call it recreational eat. It's kind of like you're eating for fun to avoid doing other things or thinking just to kind of like help with your feelings, or you're bored. That's when, water can be super helpful. So let's see. Oh, I thought you were younger. Well, I know some of you are younger than me. And so, I mean, I love seeing like all these little goals that you're setting. And again, and I want to talk lastly about, I don't know if any of you have been watching I know this is just the basic SlimFast group. It's not the keto group, but obviously I worked on a docuseries with Naomi Whittle, and we actually interviewed some of the brand ambassadors that are actually on this live right now. And one of the things that I talked about a lot, especially as someone who has a history of, anxiety and depression and things like that, is just being gentle with yourself and just realizing that we're not all going to be perfect, especially in times like this. And if you have a day where you just, you did too much recreational eating, and you overdid it, just don't be hard, be gentle on yourself and realize that eventually this is all going to pass, and we'll be back to our normal routines hopefully, and we're going to have bad days, but use this time to really, maybe if you're not doing goal setting as often, like to get started more on goal setting. A lot of times seeing that goal or hanging it up or putting a post-it note, even if it's, whether it's one of my gigantic post-it notes or just a normal size post-it note. You can tell I love post-it notes. Hanging up a post-it note with your goal. Little reminders everywhere, kind of just reminding you of like what your goals are, because they're going to be different for everyone. And just kind of have a reminder there of, even on the refrigerator, if you go to the refrigerator, like, are you really hungry, or are you wanting to go in there right now because you're just feeling extra anxious, or you're feeling bored, or you're just kind of like, you have to fold the laundry, but kind of don't feel like it. So you're kind of looking for something else to do, because let's face it, we've all been there. So, kind of use your goals as ammunition to kind of keep you going through these times when, again, everything's just really, really crazy. Yes, we do. Do you know if they will release a series to rewatch later? I believe, according to Naomi Whittle's team, I think they're gonna have like a weekend where they're showing them all at some point. I'm not 100% sure on that. There is a keto woman. There is the keto woman group. There's a private group on Facebook. It's much smaller than the SlimFast groups that we have. But that's when some people have asked that question too. So I think eventually they're gonna release it to watch later. Let's see. We do have control of staying positive and keep smiling. Exactly. It's hard sometimes, especially with everything going on. But it's so great that all of you are posting every day, and you're doing so many positive posts, and kind of just really nurturing this amazing community, and kind of like keeping everyone just happy and motivated, and we're just doing the best we can in this time. And I also did want to announce that, so there's obviously lots of different live talks and whatnot that are going on in the SlimFast Together group, as well as the SlimFast Keto Together group and the SlimFast Diabetes Together group. I'm also going to be doing on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for the next weeks. I'm going to be just doing a quick little 10 to 15 minute workout live. As of right now, I think I'm gonna just do them live, and they're just gonna be 10 to 15 minute workouts. They're just gonna be really just quick, quick to the point. Gonna not work every muscle, but do a whole body workout, just to kind of squeeze one in. And then of course, if you can go do a couple rounds of it if you'd like, or however you want to use it. But those are gonna be going on at 5:30 on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So we're gonna start on Wednesday. And I'm going to be doing them right from my living room. So that's something too, that if when the end of your day, or I know not everyone's on the Eastern time zone, but close to the end of your day, if you want to kind of just squeeze in a quick little 10 to 15 minute workout, heck, if it feels good, we might go for 20, but I'm guessing it'll probably be about 15 minutes or so. Then you can join me here in the SlimFast Together group, and those will be going on, like I said, again, for the next few weeks, to kind of just help give hopefully some motivation to everyone to have something to do aside from whatever else you'd be doing at 5:30. And again, there's the great thing is there's a lot of resources out there. So if you need to find home workouts, I know we've always talked about this, but you can go on YouTube, you can go on Pinterest, and there's just a lot of great resources. Even some people are on Instagram or doing, live workouts. But that's what I will be doing on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for the next few weeks. So I hope that you guys can join. And let's see. Whoop, whoop. I used to snack and watch TV, and that was where a lot of my weight would come from, bored eating. I really had to change myself and dig deep. Yep. Oh, and this actually brings me to another point that, because I didn't write it down, I was almost going to forget to mention it, but Nicole's comment reminded me that this is also a good time where you find that you are overdoing it with the snacking. I mean, I know I've talked about this in multiple times, like depending on what we've been doing with SlimFast, whether it be in the groups or in other ways, but having little portion controlled bowls, like a little if you have any, they're called ramekins. I know it's a weird name, weird word, but they're like just little bowls, and just to kind of portion things out. I find I've been, craving like weird things that I normally don't crave, and just portioning them out and making sure that I don't take the bag and sit in front of the TV, because certain things are just, I love too much and I know I'll overdo it. So portioning out the snacks and putting them into little bowls that make sense. Things like ice cream. A serving of ice cream is a half a cup, which it's not that much. So if you can kind of, get a little container and either use a measuring cup to see what a half a cup is, or get a little half cup container and it's 4 ounces, and just use that to measure out ice cream, or to measure out popcorn or pretzels or different types of snacks. Nuts are another thing that people have a tendency to kind of overdo it on with portions. Either having the portion controlled packs, or measuring them out ahead of time, or measuring them when you eat them. That's just a great way. Like, I realize like we're kind of, I think a lot of us have a lot of like different foods in our house right now than usual, and they're really tempting. And at the end of the day, you can make certain things fit for sure, but it's really helpful to stick with the portion control if you don't want to derail your your nutrition and weight loss or weight maintenance goals. Snack size Ziploc bags, yes. Get a bowl or baggie. Exactly. Awesome. All right. So it looks like we're just over a half hour, so I won't keep you for the rest of your night unless you want me to. No. But thank you so much again for joining, and again, keep an eye out for those Monday, Wednesday, Friday 10-15 minute quick little workouts for the next few weeks. That'll be right here in the SlimFast Together group. And thank you all for being here, and it's always nice to connect, and especially in these kind of funky times, it's just nice to kind of like just connect and talk, and get input from everyone, kind of what's working for them, and how they're kind of getting through this as well. So thank you so much, everyone, and have an amazing night, and I will see you guys Wednesday. Bye. Have a good night.